Hello, crafty friends! It's Alicia here with the project for Tailored Expressions. In today's video, I'm going to be using some of the Ho Holidays goodies to create a pair of Christmas cards with some extra sparkle. These cards will feature the Ho Holidays layering stencil set with coordinating dies. And to coordinate, I will be using both of the foilets from the Ho Holidays pack and one of the Essential Patterns Holiday background foilets. To add some sparkle, I am using Fun Foil in Gold Shimmer, and to get nice crisp foiling, I will be using the Foil Magic Shim and the Mini Minc. For my sentiments, I am using the Santa Stop Here red rubber stamp set and coordinating dies. And to get a nice crisp impression on those sentiments, I will be using the exclusive Teal Misti and the Just Press tool. For cardstock today, I am using Sugar Cube, and I also got out some Tailored Expressions Vellum. For ink blending and stamping, I chose watermelon, mulled wine, Brussels sprout, cinnamon, and toffee inks, and I also got out coordinating blender brushes. I will be using a variety of adhesives to hold everything together, and to add a little more sparkle, some green glitter drops. Let's get crafty! I'm going to get started by adding Gold Shimmer Fun Foil to the Ho Holidays foilet panels. To do this, I just cut a couple 6-inch pieces off of the roll, and then off to the side I did have my Mini Minc heating up, so I pulled that in, and I like to use a 3 setting on mine. Before I send each piece through the Mini Minc, I do add a Foil Magic Shim below the cardstock, and then all 3 layers get put into the carrier sheet. Make sure that you're always putting that folded edge first so it doesn't get jammed up in your machine. You'll wait for that to go all the way through, and then I like to let that cool off completely, so I set that off to the side and I sent my second piece through. Once those had both cooled down, it was time for the big reveal. This is always my favorite when foiling. Just look at all of that sparkle. Let me know your favorite color foil down in that comment section below. Now I'm going to add color to those using the Ho Holidays layering stencil set, and on this first one the foiled area is the same as what is on stencil 2, so for now I'm just going to set that to the side. I temporarily tacked down my foilet panel with some tape runner, and I'm going to get that first stencil set up. There are some squares right on the printable, so that makes it super easy to get started. I'll be holding that in place with some removable labeling tape. For the color palette on today's cards, I wanted to go with more of a rustic Christmas feel, so for the red I chose a nice deep color with the mulled wine ink. After I load up my blender brush, I like to use clockwise and counterclockwise circles when I'm filling in the open areas on the stencil, and I just keep blending until I like the shade that I get of each color. For stencil number 3, I got out 2 different inks. I will start by ink blending Toffee over on the right half to color in Santa's face and belt buckle, and then over on the left for parts of the presents and the sleigh, I'm using a more traditional Christmas red with watermelon ink. Again though, the process is the same. To load up the blender brush and then just keep ink blending until you like the shade of the color you have. When I place the additional stencils, I do start by lining it up with those foiled squares, but sometimes you need to make slight adjustments depending on how your previous stencils were placed. For the final stencil, stencil number 4, I'm going with a nice deep green ink in Brussels sprout, and again I'm just covering all of those openings until I like the shade. Once all of the layers have been ink blended, it's time for the big reveal, and just look at all of that sparkle. Because I did foil first, there's a chance that there's some ink sitting on top of those foiled areas, so I very gently wiped and dabbed at the foiled areas to pick up any ink that might still be wet. Off camera, I stenciled the second panel, and for this one I did use stencil number 2, and for that I chose cinnamon ink, and here's a look at that finished piece. I love those sparkly stripes on Santa's hat. To cut out each of the images, I used the coordinating Ho Holidays die set, and while I was off camera doing that, I foiled 2 of the background panels from the Essential Patterns Holiday using that same gold shimmer fun foil. I cut each of those down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 so they would fill a card front. My original plan was to place Santa and his sleigh right on top of that background, but I didn't think they stood out quite enough. So I cut 2 pieces of TE Vellum down to 4 by 5 1/4. Now you'll see when I place that centered onto the background, you can still see those shiny presents, but Santa and his sleigh of gifts still stand out. Since you can see through vellum and I want to hide my adhesive, I am first going to place the sleigh and Santa onto the piece of vellum. To do this on the sleigh, I use liquid glue, and that's going to go flat down onto the vellum piece. I do kind of put it up and to the left of this, so when I place Santa, who I have added some foam tape to the back, and put him down to the lower right, it looks like there's a little bit of distance between them. Now, so I have some wiggle time to get Santa placed correctly with that foam tape, I did add some liquid glue. Now that both of those pieces are in place, I know exactly where I can add my adhesive so it is hidden from the front. So again, for some wiggle time, I use liquid adhesive, and now I'm going to center Santa on top of those foiled presents. For the sentiments, I chose Santa Stop Here and Santa Claus is Coming to Town from the Santa Stop Here stamp set. I'm going to be stamping both of those onto a scrap of sugar cube using Mulled wine ink to go with the stenciling I already did. For this, I am using the exclusive Teal Misti and the Just Press tool to get nice crisp impressions on each of those. I cut each of the sentiments out with the coordinating dies, and I also added some foam tape to the back. The sentiment is going to go up on the presents, and then it overlaps Santa's hat just a little bit. And because Santa's already popped up, there are areas of the sentiment where I didn't put foam tape, but I did add some liquid adhesive so that it is nice and adhered in place. I prepared 2 top folding sugar cube card bases, and I added some of the foiled scraps to the inside for a little added decoration. Now this next step is not necessary, but when I have card fronts that are the same exact size as the card base, I like to bring in something like the Misti or maybe a score buddy to help me get everything nice and aligned. I can place that card base right down in the corner of the Misti, add the adhesive to the back, and then I can just slide my card front right into that same corner. Now, if at this point you notice there's extra card base or there's card front hanging off, you can easily just trim that with some scissors. Let me know if you've ever used this hack down in that comment section below. Even though my cards are already full of sparkle with that gold shimmer fun foil, I wanted to add a little bit more before I called these complete. So I brought in some green glitter drops, and I added a trio to the front of each card using some liquid glue. And here are some close-up looks at the finished cards. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today's video. If you enjoyed the process, a thumbs up is appreciated. And if you're not already a subscriber, we do hope you'll click on the button below so you're the first to know about our latest videos. To find out more about the products I used today, you can check out the links in the description box below or visit the Tailored Expressions online store at tailoredexpressions.com.